What is up, guys, and welcome back to another F1 2020 career mode video. We're back for my team, episode number 14 for the Belgian Grand Prix around Spa. This is a very big episode, as you can tell by the title. We will get to that news in just a second. There's a lot to cover because we go over the whole of the summer break and the shutdown of the factory. So let's see how that all works. Before we do that, we actually have a press interview with Will Buxton, which we need to address as well. So a lot to tackle in this episode. Make sure you leave a like, subscribe to the channel if you're new to see plenty more F1 2020 career mode videos. Doing both, liking and subscribing, will really help out the channel. And yeah, I just want to reiterate once again like how amazing the support has been over the last week or two. It's been I've never seen anything like this in 8-9 years or whatever it's been of making F1 videos. It has been amazing. But rear downforce, you guys have been memeing me in the comments and stuff. We're finally addressing the downforce issue, and that'll go on for the Singapore Grand Prix just before. Other areas we can address, we can work on our second driver's pace, that being Mick Schumacher, who we recently re-signed for the rest of the season. We're going to back him and hopefully give him the support and training that he needs. But I've also found this, which is an increase in the resource points that come in for the aero department. It doesn't matter what department you get the resource points from, you can still spend the resource points wherever the hell you want. But I'm just looking, I think I might go back to the simulator personnel and increase Mick Schumacher's pace. An extra bit of pace for your second driver will never go amiss. That's 2 mil down the drain. Not down the drain, invested. Don't tell Mick I said that. But let's hopefully see some benefits from that, and maybe he can gun for some points this weekend. But it's time for the press interview with Will Buxton. Let's see if he asks the tough questions. I'm really interested to see what he's going to ask, being the midway point of the season.
Thanks so much for the invitation to your HQ. Let's have a little chat about the team's performance this season. Your second driver really seems to be improving at a rapid pace. How dedicated are they?
I wouldn't say rapid pace. They've been steadily improving, but it's good to see. We'll continue to develop and help them. But they've been pretty committed, yeah.
Your team's been picking up points fairly consistently. Do you think you'll be able to become a challenge to the top teams in the future?
I think so, yeah. If we can maintain our constructors' position at the moment, being P7 or something like that, we're set for some big bonuses at the end of the season, which we can reinvest into the team and really take it to the next level. So it's all about finishing strong this season and then having a really good winter and really just going from there.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
This might come as a shock to all of you guys, but I genuinely don't care who wins the championship out of myself or my teammate. I really just want the team to do well, and above all else, winning the constructors is what matters.
Do you see your relationship with your second driver being long-term, or will you be looking for someone else if you're successful?
Interesting question. I think if Mick is amazing and he continues to deliver, then I don't see any reason why we need to look for another driver.
Would it be safe to say that in terms of team orders, your career comes first in your team?
You already asked this, and you're trying to fish for something controversial. You're not going to get it, Will. Get out of my factory.
Well, thanks so much, as ever, for your time. It's hugely appreciated.
I'm worried about our cash reserves. They're pretty low, and we might have to start shutting down facilities.
It's fine. We got 500k in the bank, mate. We can go to the casino if we really want to, and we can double it. Let's go on red. Anyway, it is time for the Belgian Grand Prix, or is it? I think we know. We need to go through the season break, don't we? Yeah, we do. But before we do that, I'm just making sure that there's no loose ends. I want to make sure that I'm not wasting any money that's lying around, sitting there, not doing anything. No resource points, no activities that I need to schedule. I don't want to waste time, if you know what I mean. I want to maximize productivity. So we simulate through the break, and we are back for the 27th of August, the Belgian Grand Prix, and we have a bit of money that's come through over the break. What we will do is have a look over at durability. This isn't a department I'm really going to work on this season, if I'm brutally honest. One thing we can extract from this department is extra resource points. 1.5 mil and we can get an extra 60 resource points every single week, which is going to help us develop other areas of the car. So 200 IQ plays there. I guess it benefits everyone. So we will get to that hopefully later on in the season. But we have a driver retirement. We have some news from the paddock that Kimi Räikkönen is going to be retiring from the sport soon. We'll keep you posted if we hear anything further, that being a replacement for Kimi Räikkönen. And heading into the Belgian Grand Prix, we had our engine upgrade, the major engine upgrade, fail incoming for this race, which would have been instrumental for dragging us up the order in the next 2 rounds, that being Spa and Monza, 2 of the biggest power tracks on the calendar. And that major engine upgrade is going to cost us big time. But yeah, Kimi is retiring from the sport, so any plans that I might have had of trying to recruit him on board are now out the window. I know it's a good strategy, actually, getting Kimi on board. He's the most experienced driver in the field, and having experience as a stat is more beneficial to bringing in resource points. So that was something that someone did suggest to me in the comments, but that ship has now sailed. But yeah, there we go. That's the first retirement ever in a career mode I've ever done. No one has ever retired before in all the F1 games I've done, and Kimi is the first. Let's see if there's any more by the end of the season. I really hope we keep Hamilton and Vettel in the sport for as long as possible in this career mode. But it will be nice to see the juniors come up the ranks. It'll be interesting to see who comes up and steps into that second Alfa Romeo seat. If I had to guess, probably Nick de Vries. He's got the pedigree there and best stats out of anyone. So let's see if Alfa Romeo spend the big bucks and get him on board. But we've gone through practice and we've collected all those resource points. We are now chucking in our freshest power unit components to give us some performance in qualifying for the Belgian Grand Prix. Let's get it. How slow are we going to be this weekend? I really hope we are on the pace. I'm not too sure, to be honest. I feel like other teams have improved and they've brought either drag reduction upgrades or power upgrades themselves. I do believe we did have something from Honda recently, but I think it might have been the last episode heading into Hungary, and I believe it was a durability upgrade. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we can bring to the table in this episode. I have ran with low downforce, I think 2.6 wings at the start of this session. We may experiment with lowering that front wing in order to get more out of the straight line speed. And I saw comments in the last episode as well. People were complaining that I'm running the same setup for every track. No, that's not the case. I ran a high downforce, really aggressive setup for Monaco. And then since Monaco, around Austria time or whatever, or Canada, we've got an esports kind of setup. It's like 2.8 wings or something, but the reason why it's 2.8 wings is to counteract the oversteering nature of some of like the ride heights and anti-roll bars and other settings that we're running. The car is not understeery at all. That is why we're running with an aero configuration that we're running with. It just maximizes the time down the straights and helps the stability. I hope that makes sense. But in terms of the downforce, we have been adjusting it slightly, as I've been talking about in the episodes. I have raised it a lot for Hungary, but the balance between front and rear wing has been pretty dramatic, having much more rear wing and much lower front wing, and that's just purely to account for the balance of the car and how oversteery it is with the ride heights and anti-roll bars and everything. So the people who are saying that running low front wing is dumb and I'm getting understeer because of the low front wing, no, you've just got no idea what you're talking about. It's just the grip conditions at Silverstone was really weird, and I've seen a lot of other people talking about it, and it was just something that was completely out of my control. That's why we were kind of nowhere in the wet at Silverstone. But anyway, qualifying. Here we are. We are running in P20 at the moment. Mick Schumacher is ahead of us for the time being. We did sneak in front of him at the end of our last run, but he's improved again. And we need to step up our game once again. So it's nice to see that we're training up Mick and we're starting to see the benefits of that come through. But for this final run, I have lowered the front wing again to 1.6. and it doesn't seem like it is working at this stage. Should have kept it at 2.6, it seems, but it doesn't hurt to experiment with these things. I did have a really poor third sector on my last lap, and that's just where we make up the time. Just holding a much nicer line and getting on the power earlier versus last lap. That's where all the time was gained, but it wasn't enough. 3/10 shy of Mick Schumacher, who put in a pretty stonking performance. We're now the second worst car. We've been outdeveloped by the likes of Haas and AlphaTauri, unfortunately. So we need to go back to the drawing board. We need to get this major engine upgrade on the car and pray that when we get to Monza, that drag reduction upgrade we've got coming doesn't fail. And, oh god, if the major rear downforce upgrade that we've got coming for Singapore fails, I don't know what I'll do. I think I might just sell the team and drive for Ferrari. No, Mercedes. I'll sell my team and I'll buy my way into Mercedes for a season. Let's see how Toto Wolff reacts to that. Nearing on driver acclaim level 8 and also team acclaim level 11. So it's looking pretty tasty there for the team. But meanwhile, we're having a look at the developments. We have 700 resource points. What I'm going to do is probably spend that on the power unit side as quickly as I can. We can do it now. Are we going to do it now? Maybe. We probably could, but I think I'll save it for the end of the episode. I can't remember if I did that or not. Anyway, we're going to move on to the Belgian Grand Prix, and let's pray that our race pace is much better than qualifying. Everyone seems to just have it over on us on one lap, so let's hope that strategy and a bit of rain for the race will help us.
Welcome along then to the Belgian Grand Prix, the race that gave us the maiden victory for the Jordan team in 1998. And in the same team, the phenomenal debut of a young Michael Schumacher. There's always something special around one of the many corners of this fan favourite circuit. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Why don't we discuss McLaren? What do you make of their performance so far this season?
Well, the atmosphere in the team seems very positive at the moment. Everyone seems like they're in great spirits and having a lot of fun doing what they do, and that's definitely contributed to the performances we've seen.
See if you can gain some early places on the first lap. This will help us to get another points finish.
Thank you, Jeff. Looks like he's learning. That's what we did at the last race in the Hungaroring, and we're going to do that again today. I pronounced Hungaroring, very odd. Hopefully that second attempt was a bit better. But rain for the end of the race could be right at the end, so what I'm going to chance it on is banking that it's going to come at the end, and I can fit a pit stop in. I might go for an undercut, see if I can get myself ahead of a few people and get in the points that way. But it's time for the Belgian Grand Prix. Lights out and away we go for the second half of the season. Schumacher off to a flyer. Let's see if he can gain a few positions heading into turn one. Russell flying past us, but we fly past just about everyone on the outside at turn one. So many people are focused on attacking on the inside that they leave the outside open, and we saw on through for P16. Next up is Pierre Gasly. Let's get in front of him. He is our rival after all. So getting a position on him, and also the fastest lap will be the aim today, as well as trying to sneak a point or two for Marduk Motorsport. What can Schumacher bring today with his improved pace? Let's see if he's got anything in the locker for this second half of the season, as he's fighting tooth and nail with Pierre Gasly. Looks like Pierre is going to have the run on the outside. Schumacher a bit wayward there on the throttle, and he loses a spot to Gasly and also myself. Can we get the AlphaTauri driver on the outside? No, we cannot. We have to squabble away with our teammates, who I noticed had a little bit of a chunk missing out of the left-hand upright of the end plate. It wasn't like an element of front wing missing. It was just like the left-hand bit, like the sidewall structure kind of thing, if that makes sense. There was a small chunk out of that. Hopefully that doesn't affect performance. I don't imagine it would. I have noticed that on my own car occasionally from time to time, and I think, oh, yeah, we are missing that on our car too. Good. Don't remember touching anything. Anyway, turn one. We get up the inside of Gasly, and now we're going to set after Danny Kvyat up ahead. But looks like Gasly isn't quite done with us just yet, as he has a nice run at us into Lecom. Oh, that was close. He had to turn out of the corner to avoid contact, and Mick Schumacher gets through. So great job there. Great teamwork from the Marduk Motorsport boys. We're both in the top 15 now, and hopefully Mick can just grab onto the back of me with slipstream with some DRS, which will be opening at the end of the next lap, and we'll try and make a race of this, as Gasly is already on the attack with Mick Schumacher. Looks like the straight line speed, or lack of, is proving to be a bit of a hurdle so far in this Grand Prix. Mick gets overtaken by Gasly and by Magnussen there, so he drops to P17, unfortunately, in this Belgian Grand Prix. What can we manage, though? We're going to use our battery to claw on to the next group of cars, one of which being Antonio Giovinazzi, who's attacking one of the McLarens. Hopefully they hold each other up side by side at the top of Radion. And yeah, that's squabbling that is just going to invite us into the fray. 3 wide for those guys down there. Let's hope that they continue to battle. If they do, we might be able to pick off 1 or 2 as Norris locks up. Giovinazzi and Kvyat getting a bit handsy, and through they come. And yeah, they've lost like a second in just 1 corner alone. Here comes Gasly out my inside. I should have defended that, to be honest. And now we've lost a spot to him. So a little bit annoying to be caught up in this battling. This little battle pack has meant that we've dropped off like the top 10 runners. So we're gonna have to find some pace to get in the mix with those guys. Meanwhile, battling, Kvyat getting overtaken by Giovinazzi, and then Norris, we were getting pretty close to him but couldn't really do anything up against him running wide there. That curb is a little bit different there. You can extend a little bit more on this year's game, so when we're running with regular corner cutting rules on online races, that'll be very fun to fly over the top of that. But on strict, I've tested it in practice, you can't really run over it all too much. Pretty much what I did there was pretty much the limit. But anyway, it's pit stop time. This is earlier than my scheduled stop. I think we're meant to be coming in around lap 8, 9, 10. But we're coming in early for medium tyres before the rain hits. I want to get an undercut on those who are going to make a pit stop before the rain. And hopefully this will maybe jump us inside the top 10. We'll have to wait and see on that. But it is getting pretty dark out there. The clouds are descending on us. And I would imagine that the rain isn't too far away. I think the engineer said about 10 minutes away. So we'll see when that precisely does strike and what that means. My teammate has stuck it out there for an extra 2 laps, and he might be able to stretch himself to a point where he can get onto the intermediate tyres without making a stop beforehand. So we'll have to wait and see when the first drops start to fall. And speaking of, there they are, right in the middle of the screen. We've got our first drops appearing. On F1 2020, I have noticed that when it does start raining sometimes, it can come in very quickly, and the grip just falls away almost immediately. So this could be a massive benefit for Mick Schumacher. We are getting a call from the engineer for an alternate strategy. He says come in on the next lap. So, wow, it'll be interesting. It might be time for intermediate tyres now as we're losing the back end quite massively out of the final corner. The pit window is open, and I tell you what, the grip, it feels like it's time for intermediate tyres already. It really doesn't take much on F1 2020 to justify a switch to intermediate tyres. So this could really play into my teammate's favour. He has stayed out, so he can pit on the end of this lap and go straight to intermediate tyres. If he does so, then he's in the game for some points today in this Belgian Grand Prix. I'm running in P12, so you can see it's worked. The undercut for me has worked. But for Mick, where is he? He's like P7, P8, something like that. So if he can just go straight onto intermediate tyres, then he's on target for some points today. It's just a shame that we don't have the engine upgrades, because then he might be able to have the pace to back that up. But DRS has been disabled. That confirms that Mick will come in for intermediate tyres at the end of this lap. I'm going to be coming in as well, but the grip is just absolutely atrocious on dry compound tyres. I've got a bit of a conspiracy theory that it's just impossible to run at the AI's pace when the conditions are like this. I'm being conservative and taking it easy, but I am still losing time, hand over fist, compared to those around me. We've got Daniel Ricciardo 11 seconds back. He's already switched to the intermediate tyres. So there might be a few people like that who were able to capitalise early, and they might be on target for some really good results in today's Grand Prix. Mick is in for the intermediate tyres. Decent stop there from the boys. It wasn't their best, but it wasn't exactly their worst either. We're going to follow through Mick and do the double stack here at Marduk Motorsports. The second driver always gets screwed over by that a little bit. The crew aren't fully ready, and then we got held in the pit lane as well. 3.9 second stop there had to hold for Carlos Sainz, who was in the fast lane. And so we dropped to P17 once everything is all said and done. So it's going to be a tough old race here for the rest of the Grand Prix to get in the points. We're going to have to hope for a safety car or a lot of retirements or something like that. We can see Mick Schumacher is inside the top 10. P8 to be exact, but he's got Daniel Ricciardo and Max Verstappen immediately behind him. So it's going to be tough for Mick to hold on for the rest of this race. It's going to be tough for me to hold on going up Eau Rouge and Raidillon for the rest of this race. The car is pretty unstable. One thing I did do was increase the downforce to 3/6 wings in the pit stop, and that was for the medium compound tire pit stop. The balance felt alright, so I decided to leave it for the wet period. But the extra downforce is helping in these conditions, but it's making the car quite unstable, quite slippery, just going up the hill. And that's just one area where we need to be a bit careful, as we see Max Verstappen now attacking Mick Schumacher in the closing stages of this Belgian Grand Prix. There's about 7-8 laps to go, and Mick has really got his hands full trying to keep some wet weather demons behind him. He's actually been overtaken by Daniel Ricciardo first, so Ricciardo got in front of Verstappen, and then Ricciardo overtook Schumacher as well. So using the straight line speed of that Renault to get some moves done. Unfortunately for Max, he doesn't have that same straight line speed, and he's stuck behind Mick Schumacher for the time being. So Mick is doing a brilliant job here in P9 to hold on to 2 points. He's only got to do this for about 5 or 6 more laps now, and he will get points. But it seems like for the time being, Schumacher has got the measure on Verstappen right now. So long may it continue. Oh goodness. We came so close to binning the car at Raidillon. We had to take the corner cut there as we were just sideways at the top of the hill, just trying to save the car. A corner cut was inevitable there on strict corner cutting rules, so that's a warning down the drain. We also got a warning for battling Pierre Gasly at one stage, so one more warning and we've got a penalty, so we do need to watch out for that. But there is Lance Stroll once again battling him. We were stuck behind him all race in Hungary, and now he's on the back of me, and I'd imagine it won't take him too long to negotiate past me. Here comes Max Verstappen and Mick Schumacher once again. These guys side by side. Last time out, the traction of the Marduk Motorsport car got him out of trouble, and once again it gets him out of trouble again. So great job from Mick. He's doing absolutely everything necessary to keep him at bay. He needs to fight tooth and nail to get his first points in Formula 1. He's currently holding on to 2 at the moment, but there's a big train of cars starting to emerge behind him. We've got an Alfa Romeo not too far behind Max Verstappen. And Max Verstappen, we know how good he is in the wet. He's going to be very difficult to keep at bay. But that Alfa Romeo with its straight line speed, if Mick is having to fight one-on-one with that thing, I don't think he's going to come out on top, especially with the amount of drag that we've got on our car at this stage. But it's side by side still for Max Verstappen and Mick Schumacher. It looks like Max has turned up his engine and possibly maybe even using overtake in order to get the move done. It's still side by side at turn 1. Mick, if you can hold on, this would just be... he's already putting in a heroic drive in order to stay in front. He is going to edge in front as we go up Eau Rouge and Raidillon. Max is coming back though, side by side. A bit of contact, but they somehow get through there cleanly. Here comes the Alfa Romeo, absolute rocket ship in a straight line. And in one foul swoop, Mick Schumacher has been a hero in P9. He's now P10, holding on to just one singular point. Do not, and I repeat, do not let Sergio Perez go through without a fight. Here he comes. I think Mick is getting a bit flustered now. His pace is really sinking like a ship. He's sinking like the Titanic in this race, and it's really hard to watch. I'm not going to lie. This is the final hurrah for Mick Schumacher to get some points. Here comes Sergio Perez on the back straight, and there he goes. He is through. For P10, it's P11 for Mick, and there's actually a McLaren on his left-hand side. So I think with all that considered, there's something amiss for Mick Schumacher. You can still see there's a bit of front end plate missing on the left-hand side. I don't know how much that's affecting him. It might be affecting him more now. It could be worse damage than what we saw at the start of the Grand Prix, but either way, there has been a distinct lack of pace in the last few laps. He was doing really well. He was in front of Max Verstappen. He was holding him off. It was a Red Bull, of all things, and Max Verstappen, who is arguably one of the best drivers in the wet, keeping him at bay, but now he can't even keep AlphaTauris and McLarens and Renaults in front of him. He's really struggling. Here comes the AlphaTauri, speaking of. Pierre Gasly up the inside. And it's just easy as you like. There's definitely a problem for Mick. Either that or he's just really flustered or overwhelmed in the heat of the battle, the heat of the moment. He's down to P15, I think. So he's lost so many positions in the last few laps, and the next person behind him is me in P16, 6 seconds down the road. But if Mick is really struggling for pace, he might be being overtaken by me in the not too distant future, but I think we're going to run out of laps before that actually happens. Up front though, Lewis Hamilton wins the Belgian Grand Prix. We've got a Ferrari not too far behind in P2, but it wouldn't be anyone else, would it? Wet conditions, power track, has to be the Mercedes of Lewis Hamilton coming to the forefront. But anyway, P15 and P16 respectively for Marduk Motorsport. It's just a race that got away from us, to be honest. I should have made the same strategy call that Mick did. We lost out on that, and then Mick's pace at the end really cost him. He put in a phenomenal drive though.
Alright, race over. Take care of the car on the way in.
Mercedes are on top form once again after an excellent race weekend. It's great to see them up on that podium once again.
What I want to know is what happened to Bottas. We've got 2 Ferraris on the podium, and the Mercedes is well clear of anything else in the development race. He must have had an absolute shocker, that being Valtteri Bottas. But Lewis wins once again, putting a strong case for the championship in this first season of career mode. But the talk of the town, Mick Schumacher, what a fall from grace that was. I mean, I can't really fault his drive. I feel like he put in a great defensive effort on Max Verstappen for many laps there. I feel like something maybe we missed in the replays was maybe he got some more damage, or there was some kind of issue that was holding him back, because he was really just falling like a stone in the final few laps. Unlucky. He did really well. He made the great strategy call of staying out on the soft compound tires until the intermediates came, and then we just don't have a car that's good enough. We didn't give him a good enough car to really convert that good start to the race into some points. So it's a shame. Alfa Romeo had a really good result. I think Kimi Räikkönen got P5. The guy who just announces his retirement puts in the best race of the season, so maybe he'll start to consider that decision and come back for next season. Who knows? But we do drop a place in the constructors, and it's a shame.
So that was an exciting race from our perspective. Let's have yours.
Why do you think you weren't as quick as your teammate today?
That is a question I do not have an answer to, because he was faster than us in quali too.
Appreciate your time.
And there we go. That is the end of the episode. Bit of a... I feel like I'm wanting more after that. I really felt like we could have got some points. Especially if I would have made the same strategy call as Mick, but you can't get them right all of the time. We move up to Acclaim level 8, which means in the next episode we will be improving some of our driver perks in our contract. So areas I might improve will be more media answers and probably a more sturdy flow of resource points. And so it'll help development in the second half of the season. No real money that's coming in from the end of that Grand Prix. I don't think we passed any of the sponsor goals, so really unfortunate there. If Mick would have got P12, we might have got something there at least, but it wasn't to be. So we'll move on to the next Grand Prix with the aim to bounce back strongly. Monza is a track that I do really well at. We do have a drag reduction upgrade coming in. Hopefully that goes on the car and that'll make a small difference to our performance. But the other teams have just outdeveloped us recently. We've dropped to the second worst car, I believe, or third worst. Either way, we have been overtaken by a few teams recently, and we need to lift our game. So that's going to be the mission for the coming races, and making sure we consolidate the position that we're in the constructors, and if anything, really stem the flow of momentum that are going to other teams and get back in front of Alfa Romeo. That is the target for the rest of the season. But it's nice to see in a way that it's not all one-way traffic. Normally, in previous F1 games, when you can get a roll on in terms of developments, it's one-way traffic. It's just like a meteoric rise. But it's good to see that other teams can get some momentum themselves and re-overtake us again. So it means that it's a true battle, and I embrace the battle in the midfield for the rest of Season 1. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel if you need to see plenty more racing game content. I'm sorry that the result didn't go our way today, but I'm sure we'll put our best foot forward for the next Grand Prix and bounce back, and who knows, maybe even get some points if we are lucky. We're going to need a lot of that while the car is in the state that it's in. Until the next one, I'll see you next time.